Another blood-red sunset and yet another moon face, and still another 100 miles to my next resting place. Driving down the road, eyes on the horizon. Within my car, I'm all alone, but feeling good and feeling strong, knowing that this path I'm on brings me to myself. I'm driving.
Hey now all, this is the Spirit Doctor, Kelle Sparta, and you are listening to Spirit Sherpa, the show that helps and encourages you on your journey to unlock your magic mojo. Today I'm joined by Kathy Shiren. Hey Kathy. Hey, big surprise, we're doing mythology. You gotta be here. We were talking earlier about talking out our ass. No, we weren't talking about that, but we were talking about the end of the world and about, you know, the things that are going on. I mean, I remember at my wedding was on September 27th, 2015. And at the time, they were reporting that biblical scholars were saying that the astrological indicators of the end times had been completed as of the day of our wedding, which was on a super blood moon following 2 eclipses and some other random stuff that I can't remember now. And I stood up at the wedding and I said, well, you know, this is the case. And I always said that if I ever got married again, it would be the end of the world. And I'm sorry. And so I thought, with everything going south right now and everything like pandemic and pestilence, you know, it's like, okay, maybe we're in the end times. What's going on here? Let's talk about the end of the world. And we started with Ragnarok because, you know, hey, we love Marvel movies. So, and there's actually a great show on Netflix about Ragnarok by that name, and it is really quite good. It's very similar to the Almighty Johnsons, which came out of I think it was New Zealand a few, you know, probably a lot of years ago now. But the idea being that people became these Norse gods when they hit a certain age or when they hit a certain point in their life, and that these seemingly normal people were suddenly Norse gods, and now what? And that entire premise is borrowed by this series as well, and it's actually pretty decent for, you know, getting to know some of the characters. I love watching modern day theater around mythology because they teach you who the characters are, who the gods are, through the character development in the stories. And so for me, that's how we always used to learn mythology, was by listening to the stories. And it's a very dry way to learn mythology these days, by reading Wikipedia or, you know, whatever else you're reading to learn these stories. So I'm a big fan of learning about it through modern day media, if it's good modern day media, which of course you don't know unless you've been reading the dry stuff. So it is what it is. So all this to say, hi, Kathy. So we're going to talk about the end of the world. It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. So, talk to us about Ragnarok.
Pretty much every belief system, or most belief systems, have some component of an end time worked into the belief system. Ragnarok comes out of the Norse belief system, and there was indications of what would bring it about. And when it did come about, giants and demons would arise and fight the gods and kill them, right? And that would bring about the end of the world, and the world would be subsumed in water, and then eventually it would emerge nice and shining, and everything would start over again.
Well, that sounds a lot like, you know, Noah's Ark.
Noah's Ark,
exactly. Of Atlantis.
Exactly. And Atlantis and a few other things. There are a lot of comparisons in mythology where you figure it's in so many different belief systems across so many parts of the world that somewhere back in there is some grain of real truth. Something really happened that gave rise to all these various stories in these different cultures. And for Ragnarok, Balder, the shining god, is one of the indications is he dies, right? And then then they have the Thimble Winter, which is sort of I look at it and read, they didn't even know it, but they were talking about nuclear winter, where, you have winter after winter after winter with no summer in between because of everything that's, up in the air, basically preventing the sun from getting through.
So
and then
god dies. Is the shining god the sun in this story then?
Balder, he's the son of Odin and Frigg, queen of Asgard, and everybody loves him. But when he is killed, the shining Loki and the mistletoe. This is the one where he made the arrow out of mistletoe and killed him. Okay, hit Balder in the chest because Balder had a special mistletoe was Balder's kryptonite. Loki killed him off, but that was sort of the beginning of Ragnarok. Is the god, the shining god that everybody loved, not only because he was beautiful, but because he was kind and good. So essentially, if you think of it as a metaphor, is that which is shining forth as kind and good, and all the rest of it, the good stuff in the world, is killed off.
So he killed Santa.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Loki killed what is good in the world. And that's the indication or the first step in the bringing about of Ragnarok.
Yeah. In case you missed it, guys, we're going to be smushing together mythology throughout this episode. because they're all symbols, right? So in today's world, Santa is the symbol of all things good and kind in the world. So I've just made the reference for you. Yeah.
So that which is good and kind gets killed off by Loki using, and we go back to, Superman. There's a mythos too, right? Superman has his kryptonite. Balder had his mistletoe. So, the good guys have weak spots. Achilles had his heel, whereby that which learns of what the weakness is can take him out. And then obviously precipitate really drastic actions like the end of the world. So you take out all the goodness and kindness. Well, then you have nuclear winter, the Thimble Winter, where you got winter after winter after winter with no summer, which means no crops and no food and, all the other things that go with that. And then in Ragnarok, the offspring of Fenrir, the monstrous wolf. Sorry, Fenrir is the big wolf, but his offspring keep trying to eat the sun and the moon. They chase him, and in Ragnarok they catch him and they devour them. So there's no more light. Which that sounds like nuclear winter again, right? That you
do we know where this myth is from? Because that shit happened in 536.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing is everybody says, okay, it's going to happen. The Mayan calendar, end of the world, 1212. Okay. The Shakers said the world was going to end in 1794 or something like that. The Jehovah's Witnesses have been predicting, somewhere in the 1900s. Sorry, Shakers was 1792. Everybody's got their own, when is it going to end kind of thing. I can't tell you how many times the Revelation and Armageddon and the end times have been predicted by all kinds of, Christian mouthpieces, right? Starting with, I think in the first century was the first time they said, and God's kingdom is coming to earth and it will be the end times. The Left Behind series, right? That's been going on over the past, 10 years or whatever, the books coming out with, okay, it's God's going to raise up his people and everybody else is going to be left behind. And this will be the end times and all these horrific things will happen. Pestilence and war and all this.
Well, kind of already got those.
Well, duh. Okay. So
Like,
maybe,
wait a
maybe,
minute, we've already got a pandemic. Russia's on the verge of invading the Ukraine. Plus, we've got countless, war incursions everywhere on the planet, and you've kind of already got it.
well, and it's not different. Okay.
Well, the worldwide pandemic is different, but not that it hasn't happened before. I mean, the bubonic plague was much worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Or the flu, the Spanish flu of the 1918 kind of thing.
Didn't they kill off like a third of the world's population or something?
Something like that. Yes. I mean, it was the numbers that they killed aren't as big as the numbers that are being killed right now, but there's a lot more people in the world right now. So as a percentage, it was actually a much larger percentage of the world's population died from things like the bubonic plague and from things like the Spanish flu, along that line. So you can pretty much go back to almost any segment of history and say, oh, yep, lots of war, oh, lots of pestilence, yep, lots of famine, okay, hunger, etc.
Yeah, I remember in the 80s we used to hear about the famine in Ethiopia all the time. That was a big thing, right?
There's been famine around for forever. You don't have to have nuclear winter to, look at when Krakatoa blew up in the 1800s and threw so much ash into the air that it was the summer that never happened, is the way that was described, because the crops failed and nothing would grow, and it happened all over the whole world. So the end time signs that are consistent in a number of different ways are Hinduism. Okay, Vishnu returns to battle evil as a figure on a white horse. And the end times, pretty much the end times are when the good guys lose. Okay. It's the good guys lose and the world is destroyed, is except in Christianity. And then the good guys get to leave the planet and the world is destroyed. And if you really think about it, I think I told you a long time ago, I got in trouble for asking in Sunday school if when dinosaurs ruled the earth, did God look like a dinosaur? That did not go over well in Sunday school. But the point is when dinosaurs did rule the earth, right? And they don't anymore. There was a cataclysmic event and they're gone, right? So the world ended for them.
There are a few remnants, birds.
Well, there are a few remnants, but there's
but mostly they're gone. Yes.
Yeah, they're mostly all the big ones, right? And a lot of the ice ages and the mastodons and the saber-toothed tigers and all the rest of that, they're all gone. And I don't think it was because we hunted them to extinction. It was change.
An asteroid.
Change happens.
Hit the planet.
Things.
Boom.
Yep.
Which, you just said before we got on here that then 4,000 mile long, foot long asteroid or something was coming towards us right now as we speak.
Yes, it's definitely
this episode will never air.
Yes. So it is definitely happening. That this stuff, it shows up over and over and over again. So if you're, look at the guys with the Hale-Bopp, right? When the Hale-Bopp comet was coming, and Hale-Bopp, what happened was they got their little purple things and their rolls of quarters, and it was meant that they were going to be picked up by the space aliens and carried away, and they all committed suicide.
That was Heaven's Gate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or another cataclysmic event, if you want to consider that, is Jonestown, right? The charismatic guy got a bunch of people in a place, and then they all killed themselves off because that was the end of the world for them,
it or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the thing, right? There's this. Everywhere you look, every time you turn around, somebody's saying the world is coming to an end. The world is coming to an end. It's like Chicken Little, right? And you and I are of an age where we're like, whatever. We're like, yeah, okay.
I think the wisest thing anybody ever said actually came out of my mom's mouth, and when she said, "The world ends for somebody every day," and it's kind of like, and that's the truth we all live with. Is that, the world could end today for us or tomorrow or next week or next year. The one thing about, if you want to talk about the world ending as a metaphor for death, right? Well, one of the biggest guarantees of dying is being born. Those are the brackets. Okay. You get born and you die. And what you do in the middle, that's up to you. Okay. As to how much you really decide to embrace life and live life. But if you live your life, to me, what the end times are is kind of like, if you live your life focused on when it's all going to end, I think that's going to kind of suck. And it's not going to be fun.
It's not a great marketing tool to say, Earth, no one gets out alive. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a great marketing tool.
I'd rather say Earth, pretty flowers and chocolate. Ah.
Right. And sex. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Being embodied. So to me, the end time stuff is, it's kind of like, well, sure, people are afraid of dying. And so anybody can say, hey, at some future point, right, there's going to be this big thing, the calendars predicted, or the religious people predicted, or the holy books predicted, or the culture predicts it. Okay. And, a lot of these have come and gone. Remember the Y2K, there was a technological end of the world.
End of the world. Right? Oh my God. The drama. Yeah. The drama
exactly.
was real, man.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely it was. Everything is going to disappear. Your bank accounts are going to disappear. You can't, nothing will work. That was
Print everything out because your data will be gone. Yeah.
Yep. But that was actually a technological end of the world rather than a religious end of the world. But nonetheless, it was an end of the world scenario.
Well, yeah. Technology is our God in some ways.
Exactly. We're still sitting here.
Yeah. And it's even though, recently everybody's been complaining about technology, and I joked with Jewel the other day. It was like, earlier today, actually, she's like, technology's been against me. And I'm like, yeah. I said, that's been going around. I'm pretty sure the technology gods have COVID. I don't know what's going on, but they are not doing well right now. So, yeah, everybody has their own impact from this stuff. And so, there's so much drama in the world right now. And I think I kind of want to, we could talk about the mythology some more, but basically they're all the same, right? They all come down to the same thing. Good people lose, the world ends, and we all reset and start over, right? It's just bing, bang, boom. And it may say we reset and start over, or it may not. But, in the Mayan calendar, it was just the end of the calendar, but they would have written a new calendar had they still been around to do it, and it wouldn't have been a big deal. So, 13,000 year cycles and whatever, right? So, the life is a spiral, life is a circle, blah, 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 right? But really what it comes down to is, and especially with our political climate right now, everybody's like, the world's going to come to an end about everything. The drama is so high right now. And it's drama. Let me be clear. I know you're going to say, well, I really believe. And you know what? If we actually sat down and talked to each other and we were willing to hear what the other person had to say and what their reasoning was, instead of trying to shove our agendas down their throats, I don't care which side you're on, we would suddenly find that the other people are far more reasonable than we thought they were. Because the average person is not a nutsy whack job. We are being trained by media to believe that the average person is a nutsy whack job. And that is not the case. I have met many average people. They have many different belief structures, and almost none of them are nutsy whack jobs. Okay. So when you think about the other side of the political equation, remember, they are not insane. They believe what they believe for a reason. What you need to understand is what their reasoning is, why they believe it. And then if we start to have real discourse, we might have a chance of coming back together. But the reason we're all buying into this Ragnarok theory right now, and I hear a lot of end times discussions, and we talked about it. I even put it on the podcast in 2020. We're in the middle of the apocalypse, right? Because everything's going to hell in a handbasket. Because the U.S. is at a crux point. And if we don't start talking to each other, if we don't start being humans to each other, the U.S. is at a dangerous place. If we end up in civil war, I don't think the country's going to survive it. We need to be aware of this, and we need to reach out to our people on the other side. And I don't care which side of the spectrum you are on. I know that there are many of you out there listening here who do not agree with what I believe in, and that's fine. And for those of you who do, that's fine. But reach out to the other side and talk to them. It is important that we try and reach out to our fellow people on the other side of the fence, because the fence is imaginary, made up by the media propaganda on both sides. And we need to get real about what's real, which is each other. And so, yeah, I just got political on you, so that's okay. I'm doing my shaman job, and I'm waking people up with stories. So that's the role of a shaman. So, I'm not going to say which side is better or worse, because I'm not really convinced that one side is better or worse. I think that we're both sides are being manipulated by power. And if you want to stop being manipulated by power, you've got to step out of what power is doing and step into what's real. Have conversations with people who don't believe what you believe, and try and figure out why everybody believes what they believe. That's the only way to do it.
I like asking questions like, okay, so that's what you believe. How's that working for you? So how's it working for you to think that this is the end times? Did it make you happier? Feel good about it? Enjoying your life more? Having better days? Waking up, ready to go and live your life? A lot of our beliefs are set up to help us sort of make sense of our lives. And, when they don't work to make sense of our lives anymore, when they make our lives miserable, okay, when everybody ends up angry and frustrated and miserable, it's kind of like, maybe we need to be looking at shifting our beliefs into something that is more, that brings us more into a life that we want to live,
Yeah. I think it was Shelley Campbell who said that she said to me, I don't know if she said it to me in person or not. I can't remember. It might've been in one of her books, but what she said was that, she had a belief that when she died, she just stopped being, and it stressed her out, and it made her fear dying. It made her fear a lot of things. And that one day she just went, I can't possibly know what happens when I die. So I'm just going to believe that I go to heaven, or that I get reincarnated, or, something like that makes me happy and makes me not be afraid to die, because I can't do anything about it. So I might as well pick a belief structure that makes me happy in the interim, which I thought was just a brilliant concept of like, yes, that's a really great idea, right? So when you can't possibly know what the truth is, then pick a belief that makes you happier, right? So, don't assume that, people are out to get you, because, that's going to manifest energy that will bring people who are out to get you to you. So let's start with that, right? Because what you focus on expands, right? And secondly, it makes you miserable. My mother spent her whole life thinking everyone was out to get her. I kept trying to explain to her she just wasn't that important to everybody. People had to actually care about you to want to be out to get you. They have to care about you enough to spend a lot of time to be out to get you. And the average person really doesn't pay any attention to you whatsoever. That's just sort of the nature of the beast. And, especially today with social media and, everybody jumping up and down going, look over here, look over here. It's hard for anybody to even notice that anybody else has done anything. So, sometimes nobody's out to get you. So
I do it with the driving thing, people, the aggressive driver stuff. And they go, oh, he cut me off in traffic, rah, rah, rah. And I said, he's an SOB. And I go, well, I prefer to believe that the reason this person cut you off in traffic and they're driving so fast is that they just got word that their child was in an accident and has been taken to the hospital, and they're desperate to get to the hospital to be with their injured child. And that somebody, I told that to numerous somebodies, and they always look at me and go, "You don't know that." And I said, "Yeah, but you don't know yours is true either, and mine makes me happier."
Yeah, right. I think I looked at you and said, "Nah, they're just an entitled SOB." Entitled asshole is, I think, what I said. We were in the car at the time. I'm like,
Yeah. But the point is you don't know. It's another one of those things in a very small way. We're just talking about out driving in traffic. We're not talking about the end times in that situation. But the belief that you hold or what you project then defines your experience in the moment. And if I was in a space that said, oh, maybe they're rushing to a hurt loved one's side, then, I can have some compassion for that. And the step beyond that, obviously, is to not personalize it at all, to not interpret it at all, to just acknowledge it as this is how this person drove and this is how people drive around here. And I need to drive defensively or pay attention to what I'm doing so as to minimize the probability of getting into an accident. And then you're not adding a belief or an interpretation at all. You're just responding to what is.
Yeah. I am much better at that in Richmond than I was in Boston. Because in Richmond, the stupid shit that'll kill you happens much less often. So I can be much more understanding of it. When it happens 3 times in a mile, I get apoplectic. I'm like, you're trying to kill me, right? That's usually when I get upset. Is when, if you're just going to do something stupid, that's fine. Do something stupid. But if it's likely to kill me, then we're going to have a problem. So, yeah, it is what it is. We do the best we can, right? Sometimes we can make that transition and sometimes we can't. And clearly Kathy is better at it than I am.
I get to the point in my own life where I'm like, I'm making myself miserable. That's a stupid thing to do. So
whereas I look at it like, my adrenaline just spiked because this person just did something that almost killed me. I'm going to get it out of my mouth so that I can let the energy go. It's no fun to be in a car with me. Don't drive with me. My husband and I have an invisible sign on the passenger side dash that says people suck. We just slap it when people do stupid stuff. But mostly I let my husband drive.
That's a good alternative also. But it just comes back to if the focus on end times per se is, you're consuming all the negative media, you're consuming all the, it's the end of the world kind of thing. And you're buying in, right? You're getting enmeshed in it. You're getting attached to it. It's starting to really permeate you and make you miserable. It's like the old Bob Newhart skit, right? Stop it. Just
if you haven't seen that, you need to go look it up on YouTube. Just look up Bob Newhart, Stop It. You'll find it. It's hysterical. Yeah. And this is what we're talking about, right? And I just want to say one more piece of the puzzle, which is why I want to talk about why we have so many Karens in the world right now, and why the incidence of Karenness is showing up. And that's because people are traumatized and people are empty. They are done. That's why we're having the Great Resignation. That's why the amount of people flipping out over stupid shit is increasing. It's why people are acting out in any number of ways. It's because we are traumatized from the pandemic, traumatized from the stuff that's going on in the world, traumatized from not being able to leave and not being able to live our lives normally. We are flipping out. And because there's nothing in our face beating us over the head, so many of us are going, well, what do you mean I'm traumatized? I'm just sitting in my house. How can I be traumatized? It's freaking traumatizing to be stuck in your home for 2 years. It is traumatizing. Even if you got out, even if you're back to somewhat of some semblance of a normal life, wearing masks everywhere, dealing with all of the political angst that goes along with wearing the masks everywhere, and all of the propaganda going on both sides, it's traumatizing. And that's why people are acting out. And so try and have some compassion and I know we have compassion fatigue as well because it's been freaking 2 years, right? But try and understand that the person in front of you who is acting like a Karen is actually 3 years old emotionally in that moment, and they are having a temper tantrum because they don't know how to do anything else in that moment. And so, yes, it doesn't mean you have to say that the behavior is okay. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's you can understand where it's coming from, even if it's not okay. So it is what it is. So we've sort of run the gamut on this one.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we definitely have. But I still think it comes back to, if you're looking at end times, the world ends for somebody every day. Actually, the world ends for a lot of people every day. So, it's always ending at some point for someone. And that if you want to live your life in a more positive, healthy, joyful, inclusive, uplifting, growth-oriented way, then focusing on that which pulls you down, makes you unhappy, makes you suspicious, makes you want to, isolate from your fellow human beings, not because of a pandemic, but because of, how you interpret them to be, isn't going to, those two things don't align. They do not work together. So what do you want in your life? It really comes down to, what do you want in your life? And then make choices.
Life is yours.
That's right. Make choices to bring more of what you want into your life, and to not choose and not align yourself with what you don't want.
Yeah. So your life is yours to choose. Choose wisely in Jedi. Okay. All right. And that's a good place to finish the episode. So make sure you subscribe and rate, please. And also, my book is coming out here soon. It may not be out quite yet by the time this podcast episode airs, but it'll be really close, right around this time. We don't have a set date yet because I'm still editing it. But my book is coming out. It's called The Overachiever's Guide to Nailing Your Spiritual Growth in Record Time Without Quitting Your Job, Turning Over Your Power, or Joining a Cult. And we kind of like that one. So, and it's nice and friendly. It's your irreverent guide to finding happiness. And, the cover has a lovely little thing, says, "Come on in, we have snacks." So, as per normal, it's snarky and fun and chock full of content. Kathy just edited it.
Yeah, I was like, wow. There's a lot of stuff in this. A lot.
Yeah. And then, for the record, Kathy edits books for a major publisher in the spiritual business world. And she said to me, she was like, so those books that say this is a deep dive and this has got a lot of information, and they give like 1 or 2, maybe 3 topics that they go deep into that you go, aha. She's like, your book is like that every page. So I was like, yeah, I tend to not sugarcoat, or, I just say what I got to say, boom, all at once. So it is a deep dive, and it is the spiritual curriculum that we've been talking about that nobody has. So keep your eyes open. And if you want to be informed of when it actually comes out, you can join the mailing list, which you can do by either downloading the Boundaries for Empaths download on the homepage of kellesparta.com, or you can go to the bottom of the homepage of kellesparta.com and just join the mailing list directly. And that way you will get informed when the book is available. It's going to be cheap too. It's going to be like $5. So everybody should be able to get a copy. No problem. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then, so, make sure you subscribe to that, and then we'll let you know when that's coming out. And if you are listening to the minis on this podcast, if you're listening in the audio form, know that they are also being published on YouTube. So if you want to watch me while I talk, you can go over to YouTube and watch those episodes there. The full-length episodes are not being recorded in video because I don't want to dress up that much. So So with that, I will bid you adieu. And assuming that Ragnarok does not take us out between now and then, we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And that's all we have for this week. Join us next time when I share another episode on energy, magic, and the spirit world. I'm Kelle Sparta, here with Kathy Shiren, and you have been listening to Spirit Sherpa. So long, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Driving down the road, eyes on the horizon. Within my car, I'm all alone, but feeling good and feeling strong, knowing that this path I'm on brings me to myself. I'm driving